Hi YouTube, it's Kathy, and this is my weekly entertainment wrap-up for April 3rd through 9th. This week I read one book, I watched 2 shows, I watched 2 movies, and I listened to 1 book. The book that I read this week is Reputation by Lex Croucher. This is a new release. I believe it came out this week, and I'm just a little bit behind on getting things read just before the publication date. The best way to describe this one is Mean Girls, but make it English history, because this is about some mean society people just going about their lives, being kind of mean, and then of course our fish out of water character comes into it and gets to hang out with them and is very excited about that because of the whole class structure thing, but then also comes to realize that sometimes these people are not great. Towards the middle and end of this, there's also trigger warnings for sexual assault and attacks. There isn't an extended scene about this, but we do see the aftermath of one person's experience and then somebody else being cornered, so just know that going into it. I thought this was fine. I didn't have any major problems with it besides the pacing seemed a little bit slow. There were some extra scenes in there where I didn't really see why they were there unless we're just trying to like fill pages, basically. They weren't terribly written or anything like that, but it took the character a really long time to realize that these characters weren't necessarily great people, whereas it's a lot easier for the reader, so we don't need as many pages of it. That puts this at about my first 3-star book of the year, and I only know that because this week I did the quarter-year crisis book tag, and in that one I had to figure out what the lowest rating I had given so far was, and so far all of my month's lowest ratings for books I've completed have been 3.5 stars. So it feels weird to say this 3-star book is the worst book that I finished this year, but by those metrics, I guess it is. Again, I'm not mad at this book. I didn't hate this book, but it was just fine. On to what I watched this week. I got to see my best friend again this week, and we continued our watch of The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. We finished the first season, and we're about halfway through the second season, so a lot of things have happened, and of course it's hard to talk about because spoilers, but a lot of little loose ends of keeping secrets from people around you kind of came to fruition, and it was interesting to see how that went down. It was also interesting to see some of these characters in different locations and what that looked like. There was also a particularly fun reveal of, hey, we're drag queens in a club, which was very nice because Miss Maisel is kind of a fish out of water when it comes to that. But while they were performing, I was like, these are going to be drag queens. I'm going to be delighted. And they were, and I was. Speaking of, I also watched this week's episode of RuPaul's Drag Race. We are at a top 5 and we're trying to get down to a top 4 for the finale, which will happen, of course, in 2 weeks because they always like to put a reunion episode right in between there. This top 5 is just really good, and I had a friend contact me before the episode even aired asking, who do you think should go home this week, because I think everybody is so strong, and I'm like, same, I don't know. I'm gonna have to watch the episode and make some judgments from there, and the way it turned out makes the most sense to me based on how strong all of the competitors are. If you have a particular queen that you are rooting for, let me know down in the comments below. On to the movies I watched this week. We watched the 2002 version of Spider-Man, which I actually haven't watched since high school, so it was nice to go back to it. Growing up, me and my brother had favorite superheroes based on cartoons. Mine was Spider-Man and his was Batman, so this was really cool because this was the first big Spider-Man movie. It was fun to go back to. It was a little bit campy, which is always nice in my opinion. It was fun to spot Bruce Campbell and the car he hates. And it was also fun to watch it and realize that MJ actually works at the Moonlight Diner, which is the diner that Jonathan Larson used to work at, that they actually had to rebuild when they made Tick, Tick, Boom, starring another person who has also played Spider-Man, because that diner doesn't actually exist in New York anymore. It moved to a different state at some point. In any case, this was a lot of fun. I think we're going to have to finish watching this section of Spider-Man movies and then move on to Andrew Garfield's, which I've never actually seen, and then move into the more current ones just for fun, although I don't think we're actually planning to like do this anytime soon. It just seems like the natural progression of things. This week we also watched another start to another trilogy that I haven't seen in so long, and that's Back to the Future. This is another movie I used to watch all the time as a kid. When I would pick up a guitar, all I really wanted to learn was how to play Johnny B. Good. Mind you, I could never figure out how strumming worked. I never actually took any lessons or anything like that, but people were like, yeah, these are the chords. I'm like, cool. Don't know what to do with that information. This has some classic sequences, some classic callback jokes. This is just so much fun to watch, and so much of it still stuck in my brain, so lines would be coming up and both Chad and I would be like, oh, this line, he's like, I'm sorry, and I'm like, don't worry, worry, I knew it was coming, it's fine. This one will always be right up there for me for time travel media. Like, this is probably my favorite franchise. As for the audiobook I listened to this week, that was Hood Feminism. This is all about the women that feminism has left behind. The way that this was structured is it talked about different topics that are usually left out of feminism, even though they are feminist topics, because almost everything is. It's talked about housing and gun control and many other things that are just left out of the feminist conversations by some feminists, because they see these as topics that only affect people that aren't actually them. This is an excellent book to read or listen to just check your own privileges and realize that pretty much everything is a feminist topic if you look at it hard enough. You shouldn't pick and choose your feminist topics based on what's going to affect you the most. As a side note, I also finished listening to this while I was doing my first cross stitch in over a couple of decades, because I used to do this as a kid and then at some point never picked it back up again. So I ordered a kit, I'd made the kit, I thought I was just going to start the kit that day, but no, I spent probably 8 hours and just completed it. This is what it looks like. It's super cute. And now I've gone down a rabbit hole of ordering kits and patterns and supplies from different vendors, and now I'm just waiting for all of them to get to me. That's it for this week. If you've read, watched, or listened to any of these, let me know about it down in the comments below. On the way down to the comments, if you hit that subscribe button, that would be very nice of you. If you don't feel like leaving a comment but want to make sure that I know you were here, just leave me an emoji or a smiley face if you happen to be on your keyboard. Some people have asked if there's a way to financially support this channel, so I set up a Ko-fi account, which is a digital tipping service. The link for that, as always, is down below. You can like and share this as you see fit, and I will see you very soon. Bye!